What's the vibes, family? It is Wednesday, and on Wednesday we have our reviews. And today I'm going to be talking about a couple of things and go over the things that have happened on certain pairs that we look at on this channel: gold, the DXY, GU, right? And other things that just affect the markets generally. We'll also speak a little bit on fundamentals, right? So get your heads in here. Let me say that. And let's get into it. All right. So what have we seen? Right. We've seen following last week, right? I spoke about why I wanted to see buy side. And I said fundamentally speaking, right, price should see higher prices. We had NFP last week coming very, very good, better than expected, right? Which signifies higher dollar. And also we had CPI not coming so good for DXY, right? And this is where your discretion as a trader starts to come in because again, it is only a confluence, right? The fundamental analysis is only a confluence. It allows whatever you're doing just make more sense if you get what I mean. So what have we seen, right? We also still need to look at price technically, and what we've seen from there is we've seen price continue the rally right now based on those or based on that information, we sold GU, which I shared on the Discord, right? I shared that on the Discord, and GU hit TP yesterday, right? So we sold GU somewhere inside of Thursday, and yesterday going into today, we started to see GU just fall off into sell side. And this is a pretty good trade, if you think about it, right? We had price return back into the last up close candle that leads that breaking market structure. So this is high, this is low, price returns all the way into premium. I did a video about premium and discounts, right, as the core principle of markets on my TikTok. And this is just the same idea, right? That a profitable trader, right, or anyone that would make money in any markets would be looking to do one thing that the markets really relies on: selling premium, buying discount. So we see price return back up inside of that up close candle. We see a breaking market structure. We got into the trade. The beautiful thing about this trade is the stop loss. I love it so much because if this is the breaking market structure high to low, let me clear out this so that you see. If this is the breaking market structure high to low, we close below this, right? We want to see price respect this range, right? What I see many traders do is they try to compromise their stops, right? And price takes them out and still moves in the direction that they want to see. So stop loss placement is a very, very key important thing to your trading. It's what tells you this is when I am wrong on a bias. So when are we wrong for sell side? When price starts to take out old highs, right? Bearish market structure is lower highs, lower lows, right? Do you get that? So we've seen this sell side. Now we're thinking about what happens next, but we're going to get to that in a little bit. Let's actually look at, gold. And we gold also, I talked about sell side, right? Same idea. We see price breaking market structure, the last OB inside of here. Price doesn't quite get up inside of there right before it starts to fall, which was going into yesterday. Now, I've talked about many of these things, so I'm just paraphrasing. If you want, more information than that, you'd see that in the Monday Outlook that I did on Monday. So there's a whole lot of source inside of there. Yesterday also, I was able to get into sales, very clean sales. We had breaking market structure, up close candle, right? Price returns back inside of there. And, I was able to get in sales there. Do I have that here? Okay, I think it's on GLD. All right, all right. So this was really a good trade. This was really a good trade yesterday, right? And let's actually go and deep dive inside of that, right? So we see price rally, right? And takes out buy side liquidity. If you're going to enjoy trading the futures markets, the commodity markets, think about New York session, right? Price takes out old highs, right? Inside of that particular day, we open and we just come to take out Asia's low. Now, this is one of those cases where price is taking out Asia's low and still going into sell side for the day, right? And it's based on the facts that we've seen a breaking market structure. There's a continuation coming from Monday, right? And that's what Tuesday is completing. So Monday just expands into sell side, and going into the session, we see price rally back inside of the new range formed: high, low, premium. Right, fair value gap. We take that out and we start to see price break. Now, as I would do, as I start to see breaking market structures, I'm looking for entries. I'm looking for entries. So in this case, Price takes out an old high and closes below an old low, breaking market structure. The last down close candle before the run up there, that is a breaker, and that was my entry. Pretty, very fast, clean entry. And as soon as price took out this, I was done. I was done. Right now, going into this morning, right, which is why I think this video is very important. I'm getting into that. It's kind of like an outlook, right? Going into this morning, I was talking with my one-on-one students, right? So in the one-on-one session, one of the things that we do is we go deep dive. We do reviews earlier in the week. We do or we do outlook survey earlier in the week, and we do reviews later in the week. And it's a much more different energy in there. Trust me, anyone that's been inside of it can testify to that, right? But we were talking, going into this morning, going into 12 a.m. and what we came about, or what I was talking about, right, was that if you think about what has happened, right, in the week, because it's very possible to kind of get very stoked on the facts, right? It's very possible to get too excited on the fact that price is in one direction, and because you are making money, you just keep following that direction without actually doing the checks that you do, which is why I make it a deal to every single time do a review every single day before the next day. So I know exactly what price has done. I know exactly where we are. If you look at Monday, we rally lower. Tuesday, we rally lower. This is showing you a sign, a bullish week, a very bullish week. The way bullish week really starts is the first half of the week runs lower. So we can really start to get excited on wanting to just see continuation sell side when price is already saying something else. So we start to see Asia's high not being tapped. That means something. That means these are draws on liquidity that price will come at a later time to peak. So we start to now think about when would price now start to have those reversals? 4 key levels. Those 4 key levels are old highs, old lows, blocks, which will be other blocks, breaker blocks, and whatever blocks, mitigation blocks. And the last one is inefficiencies, fair value gaps. That's where I want to start to think about, a reversal happening. So price rallies on Monday, goes on Tuesday. If you think about what happened on Tuesday, we took out previous week's low. So we took out last week Thursday's low on Tuesday. Let's go to the weekly time frame so that we see that very quickly. Right. So as we opened on the week, we didn't even print a high. We just kept going lower, which is why that high is suspicious. It's an imbalance. Price is going to return back inside of there. That's the way I look at it. So price has returned and taken out a previous day's low. What is resting below this low? Sell side liquidity. Treat this as your Asia's low, Asia's high. It takes out the liquidity on sell side. Where do you want to see it return back to? Buy side. Am I saying this is exactly what needs to happen? No, but you need to start to take caution. And this is what led into my trade going to bed as I was going to bed last night. Right, or this morning. It was this morning. Right. So if you think about it, price took out weekly lows, right? So we saw last week's low being taken, and that's not all. Every time price gets to your key level, you need to wait for the next best thing, which is breaking market structure. You need to see a displacement after price, takes out an old low or an old high or gets into an order block. That's what then gives you the ability to get into a trade. So first thing that happens is we take out the key level. The next thing that I want to see is a displacement. Is this a displacement? No. Is this a displacement? Yes. Why? We see a close above an old high with consecutive candles. Boom. That makes this what? A valid order block. If we are still going to be bearish, what do I want to see? I want to see a close below this order block. And this is it. You never actually know if it's going to be bullish or bearish. That is why it's called risk. But you know what is good? You can tell that if price closes below this low, we are not bearish. So I love trades like this. If price closes below this low, we are actually bearish. Sorry. So I love trades like this because I can get in here and have my stop loss below this low. Because I know we've seen a breaking market structure, and this can be the best point to actually be buying if price has actually started to move higher. And it's not just me guessing that, it's me also, like I just told you right now, understanding that a key level has just been tapped, and based on how the week has played, this is really looking like what? This is really looking like your market maker buy model. So original consolidation, the accumulation phase, key level. And what can we see? Smart money reversal, happening. So breaking market structure, return back into this, and I bought this. It meant I bought it, I just went to bed. I bought it, I put my stop loss below this low, and I went to bed, right? And I was able to pick partials as I woke up this morning. Price was somewhere inside of here. I took major partials and I just have something small, right? Because I still plan to, get into this, right? And, in getting into this, I'll be thinking about levels like this. I'll be thinking of price returning back into this old high as a mitigation block, to continue buy side, right? This is if, we're continuing this momentum, right? If we're going to really be bullish, what I want to see is a close above this high. That would really, really signify that we're going all the way here, right? But entry points that I'll be thinking about would be, this old high, right? So for this asset class, it's very, very, very possible we can start to see buy side, right? And I'm really, really looking at that. That's what I'm watching on for today going into the end of the week. If you see it, you see that run to sell side and you see that multiple stabs on old lows, and now we are seeing a breaking market structure. Let's look at it on the 1 hour to just kind of, figure out, what we're seeing here. So yes, we have this up close candle, right, that led that down move. But if we start to see a close above it, you get what I'm saying. But even though when we do that, right, it's still very cautionary. Again, I'm just seeking that, all of this can really, really start to turn, right? It doesn't have to, right? There are levels to think about in here. When price takes out this high, this level is actually important, especially above this high. This is going to be a draw on liquidity, right? And as we see price do that, we can actually start to understand what to do. Are we seeing a break market structure to the sell side? Are we seeing return back into bearish order blocks? And that would lead into a sell trade, right? One of the things that have happened this week, especially with, the move on GU, was we had excitement in the Discord channel, and I love that. I love that for the Discord channel. Let me show you the Discord channel. So the Discord channel is my ideal type of mentorship. This is exactly what I believe mentorship to be. I believe mentorship is not just trading, because the truth is giving out charts or giving out signals or telling you where to buy, where to sell is not really what trading is, right? Every strategy works if you think about it, but it takes an individual that works to make a strategy to work. And what makes you work as an individual is a bunch of things, right? How you think, how your mindset is, right? And that's what the inner circle is for. We have, podcasts that helps you grow, that has nothing to do with trading, and just other things, the community, people talking about trading. As you can see, right, we have a whole lot of people just making money at this point, right, using the things that we have inside of here, and just being in that community where you can ask questions, right? So you see people ask a whole lot of questions, and these were just some wins. Okay, this is mine. These were just some wins that were happening inside of this, right? Inside of here, especially GU, right? Olaide really doing good stuff with GU also inside of here, right? And it's good, right? Look at that. Look at those cells. Beautiful, right? Stewards also, with GU cells, and I just love this, right? I love that, this is exactly what I want to have, right? And when the mentorship opens in April, this is exactly what it's going to be like. And that's why I wanted to have this, here, so that you kind of see what you're getting into. It's not just going to be, trading. It's also you actually improving yourself as, somebody that wants to grow. It's growing yourself, all around. And I know I've taken a little seat out of the markets, but we're going to be down soon. Right now, one of the other things that happened is I talked about, fundamentally what we want to see for oil, right? Now, oil has been down to $62 per barrel, right? And what this means is weaker Canadian dollar. So there is a correlation between, let's give me 1 minute. Let me just post that. It's another one. All right, I'm back. All right, so there's a correlation between oil and the dollar, sorry, oil and CAD, and it's kind of like, USD and the dollar. If CAD is going lower, then oil goes lower. If oil is going lower, then CAD goes lower. It's a risk-off scenario for, Canadian youths. And this actually, the tension between Iran is already shaking hands with the US, saying, we can actually come to an agreement. And what would that do? That's going to put tension on oil prices, right? Oil prices would not skyrocket because, there's now, a peace treaty happening. People are already, or these guys are already coming into, an agreement. And it's kind of like, if we're already friends, help me reduce the price or reduce the price for me, right? And investments are being, taken off from there. And because of this, I said we wanted to see continuation for USD CAD, because CPI for USD CAD was yesterday. You have to really, really pay attention to the calendar. Let me show you something as we go into the calendar. Let me show you something as we go into the calendar. We will find where is the calendar. 1 minute. Okay, so this is my okay, we just talked about this. So I post a whole lot of fundamental stuffs in on Twitter also. I just want to have that as a fundamental channel where I just express myself with the things I'm learning and the things I'm doing with price, and it's really, really been exciting there. But look at the calendar, right? Why should you have expected that, pound would go lower, right? We had GBP news release, red folder news release, climate count change happening 7 a.m. our time. I think it was 8 a.m. our time. This time is 1 hour behind, right? But that news release is why you see that great spike on G. And you have to know that this is happening, right? And how do we interpret this news release? Like I've told you, what this means for pound and the UK is the amount of jobs added. That's what climate count change means, right? So it is actually talking about how many people are actually claiming employment, right, in the UK, right? And 28K people claimed employment in the UK. So it's unemployment. Sorry, I'm saying employment. So climate count change is unemployment in the UK. So if we have more unemployment happening or more unemployment numbers happen, then we want to see a what? A bearish GBP or a bearish pound, right? And that's why we saw, all of that pound sales yesterday because the forecast was 22.8K, right? And we see price coming in at 28.6K, right? The previous one was 27.2 or 2.7K, all right? And this is just crazy numbers coming in, right? If you look at the average earnings also, average earnings have dropped. Average earnings have dropped also means bearish for what? For pound, right? And if we go back to then look at what happens to if we go back to then look at what happens to um GU, we see it just collapse. So you can start to understand why, I'm so really, really interested in fundamentals because it's just good stuff. That's 7 o'clock, right? 2 a.m. EST when price drops, and that's the news release. It drops, but that's not where it ends. There's a return here, which is a mitigation block play, right? Downwards candle runs higher but doesn't take out old highs. Breaks entry here. That's what Stewart was getting into. A very, very interesting trade. A very, very interesting trade right there. And price just plummets into sell side. And profit taking was done. So this is really important when you think about it. And as you start to watch videos like this, again, it's not going to come all at once, but you just need to just keep watching, keep staying stick with the channel, and you start to see, more understanding as things go. All right, so as we move forward, CPI also, we can see what CPI was doing. We had CPI numbers coming, same as forecast. So we're just going to expect, price to exactly what it was going to do. But based on the other things I told you about, Iran easing tension and, oil prices dropping, we saw USD card, just expanding to the buy side. And obviously we had the dollar also, just rally higher. So that would help, with that expansion or continuous expansion. Now, my last claim, before I leave here is what happens to the dollar here, right? I'm really, 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 really watching this, right? We have that down close candle before we saw that expansion. So that's a valid order block, right? Are we going to continue this, right? This is what I want to see, right? Are we going to continue this? So I'm very, very, um in tune with what happens here, right? I feel like we might still see dollar longs, but I'm very cautious. If we start to see a break to close out old lows here, right, that could start to tell a different story. Again, the same thing has happened. We've seen Monday rally, Tuesday rally inside of a fair value gap here for our fair value gap here, and also inside of the discount part of the range. Now, the question is this discount or sorry, inside of the premium part of the range? The question is this premium enough for sales to come in, right? And that determines on if do we see a breaking market structure that starts to lead price into sell side, right? So all of these things I'm watching, and I want you to really, really, really watch that also. You would see GU, close inside of the range yesterday after taking out those lows. All right. So we had from Thursday, we started to see sales going into Tuesday, the new week, right? Takes out an old low here inside of a fair value gap and an OB. right? So if you remember what I talked about with here, I said this is high or this is low, this is high. And yes, this is discount, but if I was trading this on the 5 minutes, right, or on the 15 minutes, I would love price to come somewhere down here. And if you remember that, that's when I drew this line. I would love price to come somewhere down here before I would look at that as a good trade because one, this is not going to help my stop loss a lot because if I buy here, technically I need to put my stops here and that would just be too wide, which is why I was expecting another sales to come in play. And that has come now. We've seen another run of sell side liquidity. So are we ready to start to go higher? That will be determined on breaking market structure. Why I'm doing this video is so that you can start to see that there are checks that actually qualifies you getting into a trade, right? There's no doubt that this thing can really just fall again. I would not be surprised if we see that, right? But just make sure that there is confirmation or your anticipation that you want to pay attention to is in whatever direction I want to see price get into. I want to see, a target on liquidity, a breaking market structure, right? Return back into the range. I can get into my fair value gap, order blocks, and that sets up a trade. You don't want to make it too complicated for yourself so that you can be able to do it repeatedly. Remember, every trader loses money, right? But the ability to make money, right, is the ability to stick to a system. And your 40, 50, 30% win rates, you would find that that actually helps you if you are not risking aggressively, right? The only reason why you will be pained after a loss is because you risk more than you should have risked. And what happens to your account, right? It just plummets. But it doesn't just plummet, it imputes fear in you. And going into the next day, you're most likely carrying that fear to go and, engage the market. And that just turns out bad. And the cycle just continues like that. All right, guys, I think we've come to the end of this. So I'm very, very cautious on this. And I wanted you to just have that information, right? And, think and pay attention. Wait until New York session today before you start to do anything. I think we have a news release, but check again by yourself. Do the work, back test, think about it properly, right, and make good decisions. You don't need to be afraid. You just need to play the game, right, according to your system. All right, guys. So I think I still have one more slot for the one-on-one mentorship. If you are ready or if you're willing to get that spot, then you can just reach out to me privately on any of my channels, right? Discord, Telegram, IG, and we can talk about it and see if you're a good fit, right? Aside that, I'm going to be having a live session probably to this afternoon. So stay tuned. I'm going to send the link later on and we'll probably see how things are gone. If you liked this video, if something inside of here, gave you insights, comment that on or make sure you make a comment. And yeah, I think that's it. I would see you in the next one. Bless up, family. And yes, subscribe if you have not. Bye, guys.